All right, let's get into the news. And the biggest news by far, and it's not even close, and it's unclear to me whether we saw this coming or not. I'm not really sure. I kind of went back and forth. I'm like, oh, I knew it. And then I'm like, but did I? I don't know. I'm not shocked, but it's huge news. Tom Brady, he's back. Spotlight was off him for a couple of weeks. That wasn't okay with him. He's coming back. He's going to be with the Bucs next season. Allegedly, I'm not convinced of that, just for whatever it's worth. I mean, I'm convinced that he's coming back. I don't know 100% that he's going to end up with the Bucs. I mean, it didn't seem like Arians was being that cool to him, kind of in the wake of his retirement. And I don't know, maybe Arians gets the hook. What do you think?
Yeah, to me, it seems like he already said, I'm going to be returning to the Bucs. I know, whatever he says does not necessarily mean he's locked in there. But I do know at the Combine, Arians was saying, if Tom Brady's playing, he's with us. It would take 5 first-round picks to come and get him. So I do think there's some credence to him being with the Buccaneers, unless he wouldn't have come out of retirement otherwise. So I think he was trying to leverage the retirement, and then maybe I can come unretire and get to a new team. They played hardball.
Right. They did play hardball.
And it worked. It seems to me like they have decided, we're going with Bruce Arians, and we're going with you, Brady, if you want to. And then he's finally kind of jumped back on board and seems to be going. And honestly, for fantasy purposes, this is the perfect spot. This is exactly where you'd want him. After he was the QB3 last year, led the NFL at age 44 in passing yards, in touchdowns, just insanity. And I don't see any reason why, after now he's been second or higher in passing yards, second or higher in passing touchdowns in back-to-back years, why we should expect anything other than top 3 stats in both categories this year. Should also be a big bump, beyond himself. He's right at QB6 for me. And maybe even too low on that front. We'll see as the rankings shake out here. But right up in that top tier around Herbert, around Deshaun Watson, assuming he plays all the games, Kyler Murray, all kind of bunched in that like elite QB1s behind only that tier of Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes for me. So I love this for Brady. I love it for his fantasy value. And I especially love it for Mike Evans and for Chris Godwin. They were the wide receiver 10 and 12 last year in total points. Godwin was the wide receiver 6 in points per game. Evans, the wide receiver 11.
And Godwin missed significant time. Right?
Exactly, yeah. And still was the number 10 receiver in fantasy. I mean, he had games where he had 17 and 19 targets across last season.
Those are Darren Waller numbers.
Yes. It's Darren Waller week 1 and then disappearance numbers. But amazing just the way Brady peppers him out of the slot, as he always has with his weapons out of the slot. But Godwin just the best athlete he's ever played with at the position. So coming off the ACL tear, that's the only question now with Godwin is how fully healthy is. The way the athletes have been recovering these days, I'm not overly worried. It sounds like it was a clean tear. Recovery's going well. So both of those guys right back inside my top 20 receivers. Evans in the top 10. Godwin, I do have at wide receiver 18. If I get some encouraging news, like he is running full speed, he's expected back for training camp, there's no reason to rank him outside the top 12 either at that point. And then Rob Gronkowski, the waterfall effect to this, the dominoes here is now Gronk is likely going to come back after he was the tight end 3 in fantasy points per game. Monster game after game last year, looked as healthy as he's looked, should be right back in the top 5 or 6 tight ends, assuming he's back, in my opinion. And then the last kind of domino to fall there will be the running back situation. Do they bring back Leonard Fournette, who was the running back 5 in fantasy?
Yeah, I heard Fournette deleted some Instagram post that he had made about bye to the city of Tampa, and now he's just pretending that never happened.
Never happened, right? Exactly. Please bring me back. Get the gang all back together, and they have brought back a good amount. In terms of defense, in terms of offense, they're trying to get everybody back. They've lost a couple linemen, but you imagine Fournette's going to be trying to get back, even if it's just a 1-year deal, to continue playing on this squad where he was 2nd in running back targets, 5th in fantasy points, was just a usage monster. So the ideal fantasy situation is him returning and being that workhorse. But if he doesn't, this is by far the number 1 value hole out there for running backs at this point. We're going to go over some news. The other top 3 for me were the Cardinals and Dolphins alongside the Brady-led Bucs. But at this point, both of those have been filled with 2 names we'll chat about in just a little bit. So that just opens up one of the biggest questions left to fill is who is that Tampa Bay starting running back? Because I don't see a world, even if it's Keyshawn Vaughn, that's the worst case. It's they're kind of incumbent here. The only guy left, because Ronald Jones is a free agent, Fournette's a free agent. Vaughn would be my top 15 running backs if he's it. Not because I really like him, just the situation is that glorious given the numbers we saw Fournette put up last year. It's just great for fantasy, and it's just great like as obviously a Brady truther my whole life. Like I get the people that are complaining and saying it's diva-ish and Brady.
It is diva-ish, but you can knock off the
Brady.
complaining. I said to you when he quote unquote retired, I said, I've been anti-Brady for most of his career, and I'm sad to see him go. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad to see him back. And he's a diva.
Yes, he's a diva.
All of those things are true. Like,
I don't understand the fans that are like shitting on this. Like, oh, Brady's back. I was so ready for the world.
It's great.
Why?
It's
just
great.
Be happy he's back, and we get to watch greatness for at least one more season. That's how
it's
I
great.
Look at it.
And by the way, it's way better than like when Michael Jordan came back, like for the Wizards. I mean, Brady was like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he hasn't had these like, I'm taking 2 years off here, I'm taking 3 years off there.
Right.
No, the guy's been there forever. He's been awesome. And just to put a cap on this, and then we can move on. It's hilarious to hear you say blah blah blah. There's no reason to believe he won't be, a top 4, top 5 guy next year. And it's like, you're right. And he's going to be 45. So like, there's a reason you could think it, but I mean, he was pretty good when he was 44 and 43. So I hear what you're saying. It's just funny that we're at this point where this 45-year-old man is about to play, and we're just like, well, there's no reason to think he can't be one of the best.
The clip doesn't exist. How crazy! It is so true. Like
it's just
any
ridiculous.
Other player, 45 in the NFL, no matter what position, you would be saying the clip.
Even at kicker, you'd just be like, oh man, he's ancient.
Yes, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. I will say too, I was pumped because on my best ball teams, they're doing a super flex where it's 2 QBs on underdog. Code RSJ if you haven't been playing. Get you a nice $100 up to $100 deposit match. I've been taking Brady as my like kind of last couple round stab in a bunch of these. And now I have like Kyler Murray and then like a 15th round Brady with a stacked squad all around him too. So, obviously that's disappeared. I did a draft today and Brady's going right back in the first round where he belongs. I actually found him in the second, my second draft today too, though. So some values there, and Evans and Godwin, their ADPs are still depressed. So get on in on that underdog action. Code RSJ. Go buy Gronk still going way too late. So check that out too. But man, my teams, I got some real solid squads now. I think I texted you a couple.
Yeah, you texted me a couple. Your underdog behavior is degenerate behavior.
Oh, it's completely. But I won. I mean, it was a horrible because I won like in the playoffs best ball. I think I won like $600-$700, and now it's just been feeding my.
Oh yeah, right.
Once you're in the green, you're like, oh well, I could just draft.
Right. I'll be in the green forever.
Exactly.
All right.
Excited.
I'm excited too. I'm excited too. And I did say at the beginning of the show, just mention really quickly, the diva. I mean, Brady's a diva, and we talk about Aaron Rodgers being a diva. They're both divas, but even though I've pulled for Brady less in his career, he's allowed to be a diva more.
Yeah.
Like I give him a pass more for being a diva because he's so much beyond anybody else, in the game and in the history of the game. It's like, okay, be a weirdo. Be an attention hog.
Do whatever you want.
It's okay. Rodgers, it's like it just rubs you a little bit more the wrong way.
Did you see Giselle's response to him coming back to?
No.
It was like, here we go again. Let's go Bucks. But you could just like picture somebody commented under it. I'm sure you've seen the picture of like Ben Affleck smoking outside where he's like, it was like, Giselle, here we go again. And it's like Ben Affleck with a cigarette outside, like, yeah, that's exactly how I read it. It says, here we go again. It wasn't excited. The explanation parts aren't.
No. I don't think she's excited. But the guy, he wants to play football.
Let him rip. He had two weeks at home watching, Disney and Encanto and all those movies, and just was like, nope, I'm good. Going back to the locker room.
Right.
Love it. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.